My name is Beatrice Ogutu. I'm the Executive Director of Investing in Children and Their Societies. It's a child and family development organization. Our main goal is to raise awareness, create solutions that address poverty, violence and disease in Africa. And we work in Kenya, Tanzania and Cote d'Ivoire. Well, I was born in Nairobi, went to Unity Primary School somewhere in Eastlands, Uko Umoja. That is where I grew up. I did my class 8 at Unity, got very good marks, then went to Pangani Girls High School. Really happy to have been in that school. It really shaped and modeled me quite a lot. I also did very well, passed with a B+, and then went to Kenyatta University to pursue environmental studies. But before that, the period before university commenced, that time we were taking about 2 years to get to university. I went to Strathmore to pursue my CPAs. So I've done the first section of CPAs, then when we were called to university, I went to KU, graduated with a bachelor's on environmental studies. Thereafter started my first internship, hustling for the first internship, which I got at NEMA, the National Environment Management Authority, for around 3 months. That was a compulsory attachment to allow us to graduate. Then after we graduated, there was quite a lot of hustling to get internships or to get jobs. So after that, it took me about 6 to 8 months to secure my first formal internship. It was in an NGO, a non-governmental organization that was dealing with HIV/AIDS. And they were supporting children that was really affected or infected by HIV/AIDS. I worked there, interned there for about 1 year. After the 1 year, I landed my first opportunity in a national child rights organization that was really meant to create spaces for children to grow and thrive and to ensure that their rights are really secured. That was Child Fund International. I worked there for 4 years. Then after 4 years, I landed my current job at ICS, but then I joined in as an advisor on child protection matters, grew up in the ranks, became the regional program manager, coordinating programs in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And in 2015, I became the executive director. So yeah, it has been a good journey for me, not without its ups and downs. And I also found myself in this space. Initially, you know, as you're growing up as a young girl, you're not quite sure what you want to become. So in primary school, you know, the big career choices are being a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, an engineer. Those were the things that we knew. But for some reason, those were not the careers that I wanted to take. So when I got to high school, I really wanted to be a tour guide for the sole purpose of traveling all over the world and visiting new places. And that was really excited for me, but for some reason, my dad and my class teacher thought I needed to be a dentist. So they really wanted to push me in that direction. And there was all the pressure that, you know, you can make it, you're good in sciences, you can be, if you don't want to be a doctor, you can pursue dentistry. That was like, I don't feel that that is the career path that I need to take. I need to tour the world. I need to take people around. So when at Form 2, I lost my dad. It was a very difficult period in our lives. Those days, death was not common. It is not something that I really thought that I would go through at that particular time. So my mom really had to struggle. I'm the firstborn in the family of 5, and during that time, we were also living with 3 of our nieces, cousins, who also their parents had passed on. So my mom really had to struggle as a civil servant to raise us up, to take us to school. So life became quite difficult when I was in Form 2. And really the future became a bit bleak because then we were not sure if my mom would be able to take care of 5 of us together with 3 of our cousins with a small salary for a civil servant. But in any case, she struggled a lot. Apart from her main job, she also, you know, had side hustles. So we kept chicken. She got into the mitumba business just to try and make ends meet. And at the end of the day, then I was able to graduate from Form 4. And during the period of waiting to the university, that's how I got to Strathmore to pursue my CPAs. And then pursuing CPAs was about peer pressure. You know, at that time, I wanted to be a tour guide. Now I've graduated. That is not becoming possible. Then all the friends around me were pursuing finance and business. And then I said, why not? I will also follow suit. So I think it was also a struggle to find your place and your purpose in life. And sometimes I think in those initial stages, I was being swayed a lot by what was happening around me. And I think it's quite critical right now as we support young people on knowing and understanding what they want to pursue in life. That guidance that time was not really there. So when I was called to university to do my environmental studies, I was like, now I want to do business and finance. I've started my CPAs. How can I do environmental studies? So I was really confused at that particular point. So when I went to KU, I wanted to change faculties from environment, then I go to business and finance so that I can pursue the same trail of thought. But for some reason, my mom was also a civil servant in the Ministry of Mines then. So and environmental issues were really coming to the fore and gaining a lot of attention in the world. And together with some uncles of mine and the networks that they had that worked at UNEP, they said, you know, this is a green area in Kenya. It's gonna grow big. Just pursue it. Because even in our class, we were not many. So we were very few students. So they convinced me. I stayed on in the environmental space. I cleared, I went to NEMA, started my first internship. But then in 2003, my mom passed on. Again, it was a very difficult time in our lives because then I was forced to grow up quickly. I'm the firstborn in our family. And the struggles that we went through during that time in terms of getting the support you require. I didn't have a job. I was in, just starting my internship. I had to take care of, find ways in which we could put food on the table. So it was a difficult period at that time. And that's why in my first internship then I landed in a not-for-profit, the one that was dealing with HIV/AIDS affected children. And it really gave me the platform to understand what we were going through and what my siblings would be going through because we had already started experiencing lack of support. Yes, some people would like to help, but they would not have the means to help. We still had younger siblings in primary and in secondary school. I didn't know how we would manage putting food on the table, paying their school fees. So it was quite a struggle. So that space enabled me then to heal, and because then if you're delivering programs for children who have been affected, who are vulnerable, then you also get to be part of the process and heal and understand what children are going through, and it resonates with your own personal experience. So when I got into Kanko for HIV/AIDS programs, given the fact that that is not what I went to school for, but then the experiences and the solutions they were offering really spoke to the conditions and what we were experiencing at home at that particular moment. And therefore I started thinking about, if we are going through this, how many more children are going through these kinds of things? And perhaps this is the space that I need to be in terms of finding solutions and enabling these children to also live more, dream more, and become more, because the future can really be bleak if you don't have both of your parents, you don't have a means of putting food on your table, supporting your siblings through school. So I did my internship, was given 3K as a start, then 5K, so you could imagine you use that for transport, you use that for food, and then you have to find ways of negotiating with schools on school fees, so that your siblings could actually stay in school as you look for support. And there are a few uncles and aunties who really came through for us, and may God bless them for that. But you can imagine a child who doesn't have that support, and they're quite a number. So I got into that place, and I found my purpose, transforming the lives of children, young people, and women, so that they can be able to thrive and become more, because the odds are really quite a lot for families, for young people who don't have a support system around them. So ever since I've found myself in this field, and this is where I am right now, my place and my purpose and what I find comfort and motivation in is really, finding solutions that would enable young people, children and women become more, especially in a world of today where children experience a lot of violence. Children are also orphaned or their parents are absent. Women are also undergoing a lot. They're trying to balance work and family. At the same time, they're experiencing different forms of violence. So it's a space that I've come to resonate with. I find it easy for me to be able to be in their place, understand, because I went part of what they are currently going through. And therefore right now I lead a team of 27 professionals, and our role is raising awareness about what children, young people and women could be going through behind closed doors, co-creating solutions with them and inspiring others, including government, to take action to support families so that people can thrive. There's sometimes challenges that can deny you the opportunity to achieve your goals. So our motivation really comes from that, the lives that we are able to transform, the lives that we are able to change, and now they're able to, drive their own lives and change. That is quite motivating. But this journey is not without challenges. I mean, some of this work comes with a lot of burden and baggage that you have to carry, because if you're really working with the vulnerable sets of communities, then you experience their everyday problems, and your burden is to find the right solutions together with them so that they can be able to overcome, thrive. And we are not saying being resilient all the time is good. It is good as a start, but you can't be resilient. So how can you be resilient as a start and then be empowered to be able to take on? In this country, it's quite serious, the issues of violence against children. And because it's a private affair, happens behind closed doors, sometimes you might not see how important and grave it is in terms of the magnitude and extent of abuse. In 2019, the government conducted a study that showed that 46% of girls and 56% of boys are undergoing violence, different forms of violence in their homes. And those are very huge numbers. Yes, there's been a reduction from 2010, but this is still a very huge number. And most of those who are violated never get to report or get assistance. So you can imagine the mental health issues that people are going through, the frustrations, the anger. At the background of people, there must have been something that happened that they were not able to heal from, that they're still bottling and they're not able to get support, or they don't know where to get support from. So our organization provides platforms for children, young people and women to get additional information, to get assistance, to get treatment, to be supported through their healing process so that they can be able to stand and pursue their dreams. And we do that quite a lot in the school setup. So we offer a lot of platforms where children can learn skills for life, issues around being self-aware, decision making, negotiation, those kinds of aspects, including very serious aspects around HIV/AIDS prevention, how to protect yourself from violence, drug and substance abuse, etc., etc. And for women, we're also creating similar platforms that they can be aware of the risk factors that can make them vulnerable. How can they protect themselves if it happens? Where can they get help? And the strong message that we are passing across that is that violence is preventable and it is not okay. In our society today, some of the things have been normalized. So it's okay if women are beaten, for example, then perhaps they see it as normal. It is not normal. It is not right. Society also denies us the opportunity to report, because even if you report, utaambiwa hiyo ni mambo ya nyumbani, you go and sort it out. So we create these platforms to raise awareness that violence is there, it is happening, these are the risk factors, these are the causes, these are the consequences, but this is how you can prevent it and get help where it happens. And it targets children, young people, and women in particular, right from all sectors of society, from urban to rural areas. We conduct programs. Here in Kenya, we do it in 10 counties. So it's been a fulfilling experience, but sometimes it's also demotivating, because then you experience what people go through. So in my career path, there are quite a number of challenges that women who pursue social work or development work encounter. One of it is, of course, you have to have a growth mindset and be aware of what is happening in your communities, and that takes time. So you need to go to school, read hard, work hard, but still be in touch with the communities in terms of what is happening, and at the same time you have a family. So finding that balance between reading, pursuing your studies, managing a family. I'm blessed with 3 children, I'm married, and then also being in touch with the community. So finding that integration between your work and your personal life is quite important for women, and I think they struggle for that, but then we found solutions for it. Also getting mentors to support you and work with you in your journey. You know, my mentors earlier on was Catherine Ogola, my first boss. She really molded me into the person that I am today and inducted me well in this particular sector, held my hand, gave me challenges that I thought I could not pursue, but she really believed in me. So that was quite critical. Right now I'm in a sisterhood, about 6 CEOs from East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. We are sitting together to learn from each other, to push each other, to be accountable to each other, and to debrief. Sometimes sitting at the table and at the top is never the easiest thing. So you need that support with people around you experiencing the same, who have gone ahead of you and have already been able to do these things. So finding that time is quite difficult. And then funding for this work that we do. You would think that most people would be willing to support these initiatives, but we really have good donors, but finding enough resources to reach a number of children, young people and families who need the guidance, the support, the treatment, the care that they need to come out of their situations has also been quite difficult. Then as you grow in your career path, it's possible, but also learning to manage disappointments. You will be frustrated, you will be challenged, you'll be looked down upon. But if you have that support system, a good mentor, then you're able to overcome some of these challenges. Earlier on in my career, I didn't have that opportunity. So challenges would really weigh me down and I would procrastinate a lot. But then from around 2014, 2015, then I learned a lot of things through my mentors, through reading a lot, to overcome some of these things, because it's part of life. And then pursuing success is one thing, but you also have to enjoy the journey, because you never get there, you know, quite quickly. So even as you pursue to get there, then it's good to enjoy the journey and be kind to yourself. I might not be able to solve the problems of every woman, every child, but the milestones we have made have really impacted the lives of about 10,000 families every year, and that translates to about 50,000 children's lives impacted positively, because then through their families we're able to support them, through their parents we're also able to support them. So it's quite motivating seeing the changes that are there. Being able to be kind to yourself and to be, you know, to take care of yourself is important, because you can really drown it in it all, because it can be a big burden and baggage if you really know what children are experiencing, what women are experiencing, and if they don't have support, then there are challenges that they might not overcome, and therefore they might not realize their dreams. And I would really encourage young people who are getting into social work. You know, the best thing you can ever do is to be in the service of others. It is so rewarding, it is so motivating, it's a good career to pursue. There are many opportunities that are possible within this career to really transform the lives of people who are in vulnerable and marginalized situations. The courses you can take are quite numerous, and the experience that you get makes you more human. And I think for us women it's quite important, because naturally we have an unfair advantage. We are servant leaders, you know, so it makes it easy to get into this sector and be able to make a difference, inspire action towards creating a good and enabling environment for women, for girls and for children to be able to thrive. And therefore, right now, if I'm coordinating programs across Kenya, Tanzania, and Cote d'Ivoire, I feel like the challenge for me is from Cairo to Cape Town. If we are able to have these solutions being implemented across the African continent, so that women, young girls can be able to thrive. There are things that put us behind men in so many ways. Societal norms and you know, traditions perhaps do not give us the head start that we need. But if we are supported to overcome these risks and vulnerabilities that come our way, then we can make this world a better place. And that space for women, we have to fight for it. We have to be the stars in our own success. Nobody will grant it to us like this. We don't have to wish for it, but we need to work hard to get that space to make a difference. So the work that we do it in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. You can find us on all our social media handles at ICS Africa. If you go online, our telephone numbers are 0733 790 335. But if you Google www.icsafrica.org, you get all the work that we do there. You can get in touch with us in terms of how we can support you, support your organizations to have good solutions that really propel and put women and girls at the forefront so that they can live more, dream more, and become more in a world that could deny them opportunities to be so. What I would like to encourage all of us, young girls, it is possible. People go through challenges. I lost my parents. I almost lost hope. But here I am today, working and aspiring action to inspire girls and young women to become what they want to be. So don't wish for it, work hard for it. You're the star in your own success, write your own story. It is possible, get help. You need good mentors who can walk with you the journey. They've been ahead of us. They know what we can experience, and therefore they can help us map our visions forward. And it's possible. Women are really making a difference, and we have that unfair advantage because we are women. We are naturally servant leaders. We are naturally kind, and therefore making the world a better place comes almost naturally for us. We just need a platform and the space to do so.